We've previously spoken about how to keep up with the rapid pace of cybersecurity. And one of the more specific things to keep up with is attacker tools, techniques, and procedures. Now, in that last video, we talked about just in general how to keep up and kind of create a workflow for you and your organization to be able to consume that intelligence and then translate it to actions and things that you can do to protect your environment. Today, we are going to talk about 3 places that you can look for this information, and with a specific focus on attacker tools, techniques, and procedures. And we're going to talk all of that right now. First off, thank you so much to Abhay Qatar on Twitter, and I really hope that I pronounced your name correctly. Let me know down in the comments. But I really appreciate you suggesting this video on Twitter. And if you have a suggestion, viewer watching this video, and you have something that you would like to learn more about, let me know down in the comments and I will do my research and try to produce a video for you. Just let me know. So with that, let's dive right in. So why should you keep up with attack vectors and hacking tools? Well, to me, as a blue team individual, I think it's pretty straightforward. You want to know what you should set alerts for. You want to know and this is specifically if you're on defense, you want to know what the attacker is doing, where they're coming from, what tools they are using. So that way you can set proper alerts. You can make sure that you're blacklisting the wrong places, blocking the right places, you're allowing the right connections, and you're not allowing anything malicious. And then you're also keeping an eye out for, in your alerts, are you seeing any executables being run that look a little fishy? Are you seeing obfuscated code that looks familiar because you've seen it on a blog somewhere? And we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, if you're on offense, specifically red team, because you're looking more for emulation, but you want to make sure that you are keeping up to date on attacker tools, techniques, and procedures, because then you can use them in your security audits as well. But also, again, if you're on red team, you want to be able to emulate those TTPs. So you're going to want to adopt the tools. You're going to want to try to mimic as much of it as possible. And that requires a considerable amount of research into these threat actors. So now let's talk about the first way, in my opinion, that you can keep up, and that is following the MVP of cybersecurity Twitter, in my opinion. Well, actually, there are several, so let me not just put it on one. But Kevin Beaumont, John Hammond, there are several other cybersecurity researchers. Huntress Labs will occasionally put out information. And this is if you are on Twitter specifically, because I'm on Twitter, and this is where I see this. It can be such a valuable resource. And I want to make a note about social media, and specifically Twitter here. Twitter is whatever you make of it. And if you make it, just a list of cybersecurity researchers that you're following, then your Twitter feed is going to be pretty awesome. It's going to have all kinds of things that you learn. If your Twitter is if you're following a bunch of less educational individuals, then you may not come away with the same experience. And so Twitter can be, and so all of that is to say that Twitter can be an actually awesome source of information, especially in learning about attacker TTPs and specifically tools and vectors. Kevin Beaumont, for instance, he's a cybersecurity researcher. He'll often set up honeypots and then he'll tweet about things that he's seeing. So for instance, whenever Proxy Shell was going on, he sets up a honeypot that's vulnerable to Proxy Shell, and then he lets people know, hey, here's where I'm seeing scanning from, here's where I'm seeing people popping shells from, and here's what they're doing as soon as they are in. And we've actually cited him on some of my previous news videos. Other people, like I said, John Hammond, Huntress Labs, there are so many other cybersecurity researchers out there. Comment down below if you know of any that should be followed. And they're all producing very valuable intelligence that you can use to secure your organization. Now, point number 2 is subscribe to some newsletters. In my last video, I actually named a couple of these, and that would be like ISACA, SANS, CISA is a government organization, as well as InfraGard. They are all putting out newsletters and information in those newsletters via email that is incredibly valuable. That includes things on, what they're seeing on the internet, and they're giving you the playbook here. They're saying, hey, here's what we're seeing on the internet. Here's how you can mitigate risk to these kinds of things. You can take that and use that in your own environment and implement the necessary changes. And that is absolutely awesome. So definitely subscribe to some newsletter. And then the third way that you can do this is find a blog, find, you know, a website, find, you know, something, some place where people talk. You'll often find, you know, a website where someone does cybersecurity research and they'll actually publish their research publicly for anybody to consume, or maybe they'll put it behind a paywall, but that might be very valuable to you. But the information is out there. I mean, sometimes attackers will brag about it on the dark web, and then you'll have researchers that actually go through those forums. They will report on that, and then all you need to do is find that researcher. There are so many sources of information out there. It's really just a matter of you going out and finding them, and I'm hoping that these 3 ways are really giving you a lead on where you can go. So with all of that, how do you keep up? I'm really interested to learn more and see if, you know, there's anywhere that I have, you know, had a blind spot there. So comment down below on if there are any resources out there that you've been using or that you've seen that you think are very helpful and that could be helpful for other people as well. And if this video was helpful at all, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm, and I appreciate it. So with all that, I'll see you all next time.